My name is Dr. Miguel Santos. I was dead for 23 minutes, and what I saw will terrify you. It will change the way you look at forgiveness, at family, and at the future of our nation. I am a scientist. I trusted numbers more than faith. I spent my life studying water, but in that short moment of death, I discovered the water of the heart. And it is either life or death for all of us. I was not a religious man. My wife Elena prayed every evening, lighting candles, whispering words of faith, while I only admired the physics of the flame. My daughter Marisol studied abroad, and I thought my duty was to send money, not prayers. I loved them, but I believed love was enough without faith. I believed science could explain everything. That morning at Tal Lake was like any other. The air was cool, the mist hung above the water, and my boat drifted silently as I collected samples. I remember dipping a vial into the clear water, thinking about salinity level, oxygen saturation, and algae growth. Suddenly a crushing weight pressed down on my chest. I gasped for air. My hands went numb. The vial slipped from my fingers and vanished into the lake. I tried to analyze what was happening. Heart attack, stroke, maybe both. But the pressure was too much. I reached for the radio, my hands shaking, then everything stopped. No pain, no sound, no weight, only silence. It was not frightening. It was peaceful, like stepping outside of time. I became aware, but not in my body. I looked down and saw myself slumped in the boat, one hand frozen near the radio. I saw fishermen turning their boat toward me, shouting, trying to help, but I felt no fear, only peace. The world I knew faded away, replaced by a soft, dark presence, not empty, but alive. From that darkness, a warmth began to grow, a light that was not seen with eyes but felt with the soul. And in that moment, my journey into death truly began. The silence deepened, yet it was not the silence of nothingness. It was a silence filled with presence, like the calm before the sunrise. My body was gone. My pain was gone, but I was more awake than I had ever been, hovering above the boat, watching my lifeless form, pale and stiff, my lips slightly open as if gasping for breath. I saw the fishermen steering their boat closer. One pointed at me. Another dialed his phone. The third shouted for help, their voices echoing faintly as though from a distant dream. I wanted to tell them it was all right, that I was not suffering, but my lips did not move. I realized then that I was outside the boundaries of flesh. There was no fear, only curiosity, like a scientist watching an experiment unfold. I saw my own life suspended between two worlds. Yet I felt no urgency, no panic, only thoughts of Elena lighting candles at home, of Marisol thousands of miles away, probably laughing with her friends. My heart ached for them, not for me. Then the light began, not as a tunnel but as a warmth at the center of the silence, spreading outward until it filled everything, brighter than the sun yet, soft as a mother's embrace, wrapping me not like fire but like life itself. I felt myself drawn into it as though gravity itself had shifted, my doubts and skepticism melting away like wax in a flame. The deeper I entered, the more I knew this was not science, not imagination, this was reality. Suddenly, I was not above Tal Lake anymore. I was standing, or perhaps floating, in that great brilliance, the light alive, pulsing like a heartbeat. At the center, a figure took form, not like the paintings or statues people bow before, but more real than any person I had ever known. His robe was simple, yet light streamed from within him, his face not sharply detailed, but his eyes pierced into the very depths of who I was. They saw Miguel, not the scientist, not the husband, not the father, but the boy afraid of darkness, the young man doubting his worth, the father hiding guilt behind his work, the man who loved but often failed to show it. Every mistake, every failure, every secret shame was laid bare in those eyes. But there was no condemnation, no anger, only love. Overwhelming love, so heavy it made my soul collapse. Tears I no longer had streamed down a face I no longer possessed. I fell not onto ground but into his presence, and for the first time I knew what it meant to be truly home. Then he spoke, not with sound, but with truth itself filling my mind. Thunder and whisper at once. Miguel, he said my name, and the universe within me trembled. In that one word, I knew him. This was Jesus, Yeshua, the one my wife prayed to, the one I had respected as a teacher of history. Yet here he was, living, eternal, the source of all life. I could not speak. The scientist in me had no words. I only stared, trembling in awe. He smiled and the warmth around me grew even stronger. You have spent your life studying the water, he said, but now I will show you the water that truly matters. The brilliance shifted and I was suspended above Tal Lake again, but not the lake I had known. It was crystal clear, every ripple glowing with inner light. I could see straight to the bottom where stones glistened like jewels, fish shimmered like silver flames. Plants waved as though dancing to a heavenly rhythm. The entire lake was alive, more alive than any measurement could have revealed. This is how it was meant to be, he said. The heart of my people when it is pure, when it is filled with love, with true worship, with forgiveness. My breath caught in wonder. Decades of study had not shown me this. Science was only a shadow. I wanted to remain in that vision forever. But his face grew solemn and he pointed. Watch! From the sky, a drop of black like oil fell into the radiant surface. It rippled and hung there, heavy and dark, refusing to dissolve. Then another. What is that? I asked, my thoughts reaching him. His eyes were filled with sorrow. This is unforgiveness. This is bitterness. This is judgment and pride. The lake began to change, ripples spreading darkness farther and farther. I saw a family at dinner, their words sharp, their hearts resentful. A drop fell. I saw a woman gossiping on her phone, tearing another's name apart. Another drop fell. I saw a man in church, hands lifted high, but his heart burning with hate for his neighbor. A thick red drop fell. The crystal waters grew murky, stained with a blood-like red. Fish floated to the surface gasping. Plants shriveled gray. The lake turned into a sea of death. I gasped in horror. Jesus looked at me and his voice trembled with grief. The heart of my people has become a red sea. They hold offenses like treasure. They drown in bitterness while praying with lips of devotion. They are dying of thirst while swimming in poison of their own making. I wanted to cry, to beg for hope, to find a cure. Is there no hope? I asked. Is it too late? His eyes met mine, and even through the sorrow, his love shone like fire. Never, he whispered. And in that one word, I felt the spark of hope ignite. What he showed me next would change everything. The moment he whispered never, something inside me broke open, like a dam releasing water after years of pressure. I knew then that hopelessness was a lie, but I still did not understand what hope would look like. Jesus raised his hand, and the image of the poison lake shifted again, the thick red waves still swirling, the dead fish floating, the plants twisted in decay. My chest ached as I watched it. The beauty I had seen before now almost unrecognizable. He turned his gaze toward me and then toward the waters, his eyes blazing with sorrow and yet filled with love. Then, in the middle of that dark and heavy sea, a single golden drop appeared. It was not like oil or blood. It was not heavy. It was light itself, turned liquid, pure and radiant, falling gently into the red waters. When it touched the surface, it did not sink like the black drops had done. Instead, it exploded with ripples of light that pushed back the darkness, just for a small circle, no larger than a few feet. But in that circle, everything came alive again. One fish, lifeless and pale, drifted into the circle. I watched its gills move, faint at first, then stronger. Its tail flicked, and it swam with renewed life. I gasped. What is that? I asked, desperate for the answer. Jesus looked at me, his voice firm and clear. This is forgiveness. This is love given when hate feels justified. This is humility chosen when pride feels stronger. One golden drop can begin to heal even the sea of bitterness. He allowed me to see a vision of where the golden drop came from. A young woman sat in her car, tears running down her cheeks, her phone trembling in her hand. Her father had hurt her deeply with words that scarred her for years. She wanted to hold her anger. She wanted to stay in control. But instead, she whispered, "God, help me," and typed a message. Her fingers shook, but she wrote, "Dad, what you said hurt me, but I choose to forgive you. I love you." She pressed send, and as she did, that golden drop fell from her heart into the poisoned sea. I felt the weight of it, the sacrifice of letting go, the pain of forgiving when every part of her wanted revenge. Yet her choice became life, and life began to spread. I could not look away. It was more beautiful than any miracle I had studied under a microscope. Another vision appeared. A middle-aged man entered a nursing home, his mother sitting alone, her memory almost gone, barely recognizing him. She looked past him as if he were a stranger, but he sat with her, held her frail hand, and spoke gently. He received nothing in return, no recognition, no gratitude, but his words were filled with kindness. That small act of love released another golden drop. The waters rippled again. Another circle of clear life pushing back the red. Jesus then showed me scenes from many places. A group of neighbors choosing to stop gossip and instead helping a struggling family. A young man paying off the debt of a friend without telling him. Strangers from different political sides sitting down, listening instead of shouting, hearing instead of condemning. Each act dropped liquid gold into the sea, each ripple of light connecting with another, until circles began to merge, pushing back the tide of poison. My heart swelled, my tears of the soul flowing. So this is the cure, I whispered. He looked at me, and his voice thundered yet tender. This is the only way. Not power, not wealth, not pride. Only forgiveness, only humble love. See my face in the one you want to hate the most, and drop the gold. That is how you clear the water, one drop at a time. The weight of his words sank deep into me, burning brighter than any data, stronger than any theory I had ever believed. I understood in that moment. The measurements I had made all my life were only shadows. This was reality. I looked at him, trembling, and pleaded, "Please let me stay here. Please do not send me back. I am tired. I want to remain in this peace." He stepped closer, his hand resting gently on my shoulder, and when he touched me, a universe of peace flowed into me. My soul wanted to cling to him, never to leave, but his eyes, filled with love and sadness, told me otherwise. "Miguel," he said, "your research is not finished. You must deliver this new sample. Tell them about the Red Sea in their hearts. Tell them that I grieve for them. And tell them the cure is still within reach. The golden drops can still make the sea pure again." I shook with pain at his words, torn between heaven and earth, between love eternal and love unfinished for my family. He looked deeper into me, his gaze cutting through every fear, every weakness. Your daughter still needs her father. Your wife still needs her husband. Go, tell them. Tell them what you have seen. The agony of leaving him was like being torn in half. I cried inside, begging to stay, but his voice anchored me. I will be with you, he said softly, and his eyes filled me with strength that was not my own. The light began to fade, the warmth slipping away. I reached, wanting to hold on forever, but it was gone, and the silence of the void surrounded me again, heavy, cold. For one heartbeat, I thought I had lost him. Then fire tore through my chest, burning, painful, electric. My eyes flew open, and I was back in my body. Voices screamed above me. Clear. Shock again. A paramedic held paddles over my chest. My body convulsed as the current surged. Air rushed into my lungs. Sharp. Ragged. We got him. We have a pulse, someone shouted. The sun stabbed my eyes. The noise of helicopters thundered above. Hands gripped me, pulling me onto a stretcher. I saw the fishermen's faces, wide with relief and terror. I saw the endless blue sky. Compared to where I had just been, the world was loud, chaotic, heavy. I had been dead for 23 minutes. By every measure of science, my brain should have been gone. But it was not. I had returned with something no chart, no machine, no number could explain. I had returned with the truth of the golden drops. I woke in the hospital, the fluorescent lights glaring, machines beeping, the smell of antiseptic filling the air. My chest felt like it had been split open with a hammer, each breath sharp and jagged. Yet I was alive. Elena was there beside me, her eyes red and swollen from tears, her hands clutching mine as if she would never let go. On a small tablet, Marisol's face appeared, streaming from thousands of miles away, her cheeks streaked with tears of relief. I tried to smile, though my lips trembled. Later, the doctor came in, a colleague I had known for years, his face pale as he flipped through my chart. He looked at me, then at the results again, shaking his head. Miguel, I don't know how to explain this, he said quietly. Your heart had stopped. No fibrillation, no activity for 23 minutes, no oxygen to your brain, no chance for survival, and yet here you are, fully alert, no damage. By all accounts, this should be impossible. He paused, his voice breaking slightly. It is a miracle. I only nodded, because I knew what he could not know, what his instruments could not record. I had seen the lake of life and death. I had heard the voice of the one who rules eternity. I had been shown the truth. As the days passed, my body slowly recovered, but my spirit was restless. The images of that lake haunted me, not in fear, but in urgency. I could still see the crystal waters shining like glass, every fish glowing with life, every stone lit with holy fire. That vision was burned into me, unshakable, undeniable. It was not just a lake, it was the heart of humanity as it was meant to be. I remembered the first time he showed it, so pure that even the smallest pebble at the bottom reflected light, so perfect that no impurity could hide. The clarity was not just visual, it was spiritual. It was as though I could see love itself flowing through every ripple, forgiveness in every current, worship in every shimmer. I had studied Tal Lake for decades, memorized its patterns, measured its depths, yet I had never known water could be so alive. And then the poison, the drops of black, the waves of red. The contrast seared my soul. It was not simply about water. It was about us, about families torn by resentment, communities destroyed by gossip, churches wounded by hypocrisy, nations divided by pride. Each drop of bitterness became a toxin, each refusal to forgive a stain that spread wider and wider until the entire sea was choked. I could not escape the memory of the fish gasping for breath, their silver scales turned dull, their bodies floating lifeless. I could not unsee the plants shriveled and gray, the once glowing stones buried under filth. And I could not forget his voice, grieving. The heart of my people has become a Red Sea. Yet just as unforgettable was the cure, the golden drops. I had seen them with my own eyes, more beautiful than any element I had studied in a lab. They were small, fragile in appearance, yet powerful enough to turn back an ocean of poison. One young woman choosing to forgive her father released a ripple of life, a circle of clarity in the chaos. One man choosing kindness for his mother released another circle. Strangers choosing mercy over judgment. Neighbors choosing peace over gossip. Families choosing reconciliation over anger. Each act was a drop of gold, each drop expanding, connecting, spreading light. I realized then that the miracle was not that I had been brought back to life, but that I had been given this message, this revelation of what truly sustains us. My science had taught me how to measure oxygen saturation, but Jesus had shown me how unforgiveness suffocates the soul. My instruments had revealed salinity levels, but he had revealed how bitterness corrodes the heart. My career had been about data, but his lesson was about destiny. I lay awake in my hospital bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying his words over and over. This is the only way. It is not complicated. It is forgiveness. It is humble love. It is to see my face in the one you want to hate the most. The more I thought about it, the more urgent it became. I thought about my own life, the times I had chosen pride over peace, the times I had stayed silent instead of forgiving. I thought about the arguments I had held on to, the coldness I had allowed to fester. Each one was a drop of red in my own heart. But now I knew it could change. One choice, one act of love, one golden drop at a time. I wanted to tell Elena. I wanted to tell Marisol. I wanted to tell every person I knew, every neighbor, every student, every colleague. I wanted to stand in the middle of our nation and shout that the sea of bitterness can still be healed. We do not need to drown in unforgiveness. We do not need to choke on pride. There is a cure, and it is within reach. As I closed my eyes one night, I could still feel his hand on my shoulder, the universe of peace flowing into me. His words echoed through my soul. I will be with you. That promise was enough. That presence was real. And I knew from that moment on, my life had only one purpose: to deliver the new sample he had given me, the truth about the Red Sea in our hearts, and the golden drops that can cleanse it. The more I remembered his words, the heavier the burden felt upon me. The image of the poisoned lake would not leave my mind. I saw it when I tried to sleep. I saw it when I opened my eyes in the hospital. I even saw it reflected in the glass of water beside my bed. It was as if he had burned it into my spirit, so I would never forget. I began to notice the Red Sea everywhere. When the television showed politicians tearing each other apart with cruel words, I saw another drop fall into the lake. When I scrolled through social media and read strangers insulting one another, mocking, spreading lies, I saw the red waves spreading wider. When I heard of neighbors fighting over land or families splitting apart over inheritance, I saw fish floating lifeless. I had lived in this world my whole life, but only now did I see it for what it was: a poisoned sea, choking the very breath out of us. Jesus had shown me that unforgiveness is not just a private matter, it is a contagion, spreading from heart to heart until it covers entire communities. Each insult kept alive, each betrayal never released, each offense nurtured like a treasure. They all become drops of sludge, drops of death. We think they are small, but he showed me what they create together. A sea red with bitterness, a sea so toxic it destroys life. I saw it in families. The way a father speaks harshly to his son. The way a mother's silence hardens into cold resentment. The way children rebel in anger. I saw it in churches, where lips pray but hearts hold grudges. Where worship looks holy but hides poison. I saw it in friendships, broken by gossip, crushed by betrayal, never healed because pride stands taller than forgiveness. And most painfully, I saw it in myself. Memories came back of arguments I had held onto, of words I had refused to take back, of people I had silently judged. Each one a drop. Each one a stain, each one helping to poison the water of my own heart. As a scientist, I once measured pollution with instruments, but now I saw spiritual pollution that no device could detect. I realized why Jesus had called me to deliver this message. The danger was not in the chemicals of the water, but in the hatred, the jealousy, the pride in the soul. That was the true contamination, and it was far more deadly. I thought of my country, my people, drowning in division, families breaking under the weight of unforgiveness, churches arguing over pride instead of kneeling in humility, nations bleeding from political wars, where neighbors hate each other over colors, where online battles tear apart communities that once stood united. All of it, another drop, and another, and another. The Red Sea rising higher, the life within it suffocating. I wept inside. The vision of the lake turning from radiant crystal to murky blood stayed with me, haunting but also clarifying. It was a warning, not for the future, but for now. Jesus had said, "This is the heart of my people. They are drowning in their own bitterness." His words rang like thunder, undeniable, urgent. I understood then that the Red Sea he showed me was not just Tal Lake, not just Galilee. It was the human heart across the world. Every place where anger is fed, every community where hatred is nurtured, every nation where judgment rises higher than mercy. The same poisoning takes place. The world is gasping for air, like the fish in the lake. Yet we do not see it. We keep adding drops of bitterness, believing they are small, harmless, justified. But in truth, they are killing us. There was a heaviness to the truth, but also clarity. For the first time, I understood what faith really meant. Not rules, not rituals, not empty prayers, but love strong enough to forgive. Jesus had shown me the disease, the contamination of bitterness. And now I knew the world had only one cure. The Red Sea in our hearts is real. I have seen it. The poison of unforgiveness is real. It is spreading even now. But so is the hope. The golden drops he showed me. As I lay in that hospital bed, I realized my mission was not just to survive, but to warn, to awaken, to call people back to life before the last fish floated lifeless and the last plant shriveled gray. The poisoned lake is not a metaphor to me. It is a vision I lived, and I carry it as a fire in my bones. I cannot be silent. The Red Sea is rising, but there is still a cure. In the days after I was released from the hospital, the vision of the Red Sea still burned in my mind, but along with it came the other vision. The cure. The golden drops. I could not shake the memory of that one young woman forgiving her father, how her trembling words sent a drop of light into the poisoned waters. I could not forget the man who sat beside his mother, showing kindness though he received nothing in return. I could not forget how each drop seemed so small, and yet it had the power to push back the red, to give life back to what had died. I began to understand what Jesus meant when he said, "This is the only way." It was not complicated. It was not hidden in secret knowledge. It was forgiveness. It was love that cost something. Love that humbled itself. For years, I had believed that only large solutions could fix great problems, that only science, technology, or government could change the direction of humanity. But now I saw that real healing begins in the heart, in the smallest of choices, one golden drop at a time. I thought of the Philippines, my home. I thought of how often neighbors fight over misunderstanding, how families break over pride, how churches divide over leadership, how politics pit brother against brother. Everywhere I looked, I saw drops of poison falling into our national soul. But then I imagined what would happen if even one family chose forgiveness, if even one community chose humility. A golden drop would fall, the waters would ripple, and if enough people released enough drop, the circles would connect and light would spread across the sea. Jesus had shown me that no drop is wasted. Even the smallest acts of love counts. A child forgiving his mother for harsh words, a worker forgiving a boss who treated him unfairly, a wife forgiving her husband's coldness, a church member forgiving a neighbor who betrayed trust. Each one may seem invisible to the world, but in heaven they are powerful. They are golden. They are life. I remembered clearly how the fish in the poisoned lake swam into the circle of clean water and began to breathe again. It struck me then that forgiveness does not only heal the one who forgives, it also revives those around them. One act of grace can breathe life back into an entire family. One drop of humility can give hope to a community. Forgiveness is never just personal, it is contagious. It spreads like light. As I lay in bed, I began to pray, something I had never really done before. I asked God to show me where I had allowed bitterness to remain in my own heart. Memories rose like shadows. Times I had refused to let go of a cruel word. Times I had chosen silence instead of reconciliation. Times I had judged others secretly. Each one was a drop of red within me. And in that moment, I released them with trembling lips. I whispered forgiveness for people who would never ask me for it. I let go of grievances I had held for years. And as I did, I felt something shift inside me, like chains breaking, like breath returning to my lungs. I realized then that forgiveness is not weakness. Forgiveness is strength. It is the courage to release what poisons you. It is the decision to pour out gold when the world expects blood. It is the act of choosing life over death, love over hate, humility over pride. I knew I could not keep this message hidden. Jesus had not returned me to life so I could go back to data and samples alone. He had sent me back to deliver the cure. And the cure is not found in laboratories or charts. The cure is found in hearts that choose forgiveness. Imagine. He had said, if every Filipino forgave the one who hurt them, imagine if families reconciled, if churches laid down pride, if neighbors chose mercy instead of judgment. Imagine if politicians forgave and sought unity instead of division. Imagine the golden drops falling everywhere, rippling, connecting, spreading until the sea turned clear again. It is possible. It is real. I have seen it. Forgiveness is not a feeling. It is a choice. A choice that may hurt, a choice that may feel unfair, but a choice that unleashes life. Jesus showed me that even one drop can change everything. That is the power he has placed within us. Not in wealth, not in fame, not in control, but in forgiveness. The golden drops are the most powerful force on earth. They are stronger than anger, stronger than pride, stronger than death itself, and they are within reach of every person. That is why he sent me back. That is why I still breathe, to tell you, to tell everyone, that the cure is here, and it begins with one golden drop. I carry this truth now as my only mission, to call hearts back from the Red Sea of bitterness, to remind people that healing is possible, to show that even the smallest act of forgiveness is more powerful than the greatest act of hate, because I have seen the lake come alive. I have seen the poison retreat. I have seen death give way to life. And it all begins with one drop of gold. When I returned home from the hospital, life felt different in every way. Every sound was sharper, every color brighter, every breath heavier with meaning. I was alive, but not the same man who had once measured the waters of Tal Lake as if science alone held the answers. I had crossed into death. I had seen eternity, and I had come back with a mission. One evening, I sat with Elena on our porch. She held my hand tightly, as though if she let go, I might slip away again. The candles she lit for prayer flickered in the night air, their glow reminding me of the light I had seen in his presence. Marisol's voice echoed through the phone, her laughter mixed with tears, telling me how thankful she was to still call me father. And as I listened, I felt his words burning inside me. Your wife still needs her husband. Your daughter still needs her father. Go tell them. I began to speak to my family, slowly at first, then with urgency. I told them everything I had seen, the lake of crystal clarity, the poisoned waters turning red, the gasping fish, the golden drops that restored life. Elena's eyes filled with tears as I spoke, and she whispered, I always prayed you would believe. I took her hands and said, I believe now, and I know what we must do. We must forgive, and we must love, no matter the cost. But the message was not only for them, it was for everyone. Jesus had not brought me back so I could stay silent. His command was clear. Tell them. So I began to speak. not only to my family, but to friends, to neighbors, to anyone who would listen. I told them that the Red Sea in our hearts is real, that unforgiveness is killing us, that bitterness is choking the very life of our souls. I saw how people reacted. Some shook their heads, saying it was just a dream, just a trick of the brain. But others wept, their hearts breakings open, because they knew it was true. They too had felt the poison in their own lives. They too longed for the golden drops of forgiveness. I told them that no act is too small, no drop too little, because one drop can create ripples, and ripples can change everything. One night I stood alone by Tal Lake, the moon casting silver light across its waters. I remembered the vision so clearly, how pure it had once been, how red it had become. I looked at my own reflection, and I whispered to the Lord, I will tell them, I will not keep silent. And in that moment I felt His presence again, not in vision, but in spirit, whispering, I will be with you. This is my message to you now. Forgive. Choose mercy when anger feels easier. Choose humility when pride screams louder. Choose love when hate feels justified. Do not wait until it is too late. The Red Sea is already rising. Families are breaking, churches are crumbling, nations are dividing, but the golden drops can still save us. You hold them in your heart, in your choices, in your words, in your actions. I speak as one who has crossed the line of death and returned. Heaven is real. Jesus is alive. His love is stronger than judgment, stronger than pride, stronger than the poison of bitterness. But He will not force it upon you. He has given you the choice. What you do with it will determine the color of the water in your own heart. So I ask you now, with all the urgency of a man who has been pulled back from the grave, what is the color of your water? Is it crystal clear with forgiveness? Or is it red with bitterness? Is it filled with drops of gold? Or stained with drops of hate? Look within yourself. Do not lie. Do not delay. For I tell you, eternity is closer than you think. If you choose to forgive, if you release even one drop of gold, you are not only saving your own heart, you are healing the world around you. And that is what He sent me back to say. That is why I still live. That is why I speak to you now. I beg you, do not let the Red Sea drown you. Let the golden drops flow and watch the waters turn clear again. This is the truth. This is the cure. And this is my plea. If this message touched your heart, do not let it end here. Share it, live it, and spread it. Forgive someone today. Release one golden drop into the water of your own heart. And if you want more stories of hope, truth, and the power of God's love, subscribe now to this channel. Leave a comment below about the person you choose to forgive. Your story may inspire another life to change. Click subscribe, write your forgiveness in the comments, and together let us fill this world with golden drops until the sea turns clear again.